Okay, let's continue on. So, first let's get like our lighting situation worked out. I've done this freaking before, but I can't remember what all we have to do. When running my editor level, I would like the rendering of the map to be unlit. Right now, I have a directional light level, but because the maps are essentially enclosed, everything is darkened in how can I have like ambient light level be bright enough that I can see the as I build it. Okay. Increase ambient light in world settings. Light mass. Increase environment color to a brighter value. Increase environment intensity to 2 or higher. Okay. If you want this lighting only while editing, create a light layer called editor only. Assign your bright lights to this layer. You can turn this layer on if it's needed. Okay. Yeah, no, I don't care about that. All right, let's just try this. All right, world setting light mass. World setting light mass. Light mass. Light mass settings. Okay. And we want environment color to something like 0.3, 0.3, and intensity to 2 or higher. Environment color 0.3, 0.3, 0.3. Nope, 0.3 doesn't work. And environment intensity, was it 2? Environment intensity 2 or higher. Okay. Is this whole numbers only? Yeah, okay. So let's go 333. What does that freaking do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Okay. Add a skylight. Set its intensity to 3 to 5. Set source type to SLS specified cube map. Leave cube map blank. Nice even ambient lighting without harsh shadows. Okay. So we'll try that. Oh, let's try a sky. Boop doop 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 boo. Okay. And then we want to set intensity between 3 and 5, SLS specified cube map. SLS specified cube map, and we leave it blank. And intensity between 3 and 5. Intensity scale. Let's go 4. Save. Run. What does that do for us? That's not doing what I want. None of this is what? Increase the intensity 10 to 20. Enable cast shadows false. Or just dynamic shadow distance. Okay. Let's try that. Directional light intensity is currently 10. 10 to 20 and cast shadow false. Okay, well, let's go 18. And cast shadow false. Save. Okay, that's closer. Yeah. That might be okay. That's certainly something that we can work with. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll work with that. Okay, so now let's jump to, let's create our toggle for the ceiling. And we can go ahead and this on. Okay. Take a look through the and update our map editor to allow us to toggle rendering of ceilings and cells on or off. This will help us in getting the map laid out well. That's a horribly written sentence, but whatever. So we'll let that go. I expect this should go fairly smoothly. I would think. This shouldn't be super complicated implementation. Ceiling visibility, toggle the map manager, yes. Implement the logic and match manager CPP. Set ceiling render enabled function at the map manager CPP. Okay. Mm. Add a small improvement to make the UI update the button text to show the state. Okay. Jesus. I don't know why. Sometimes it's caught in this sometimes too that I'm not sure why. Where, most of the times it doesn't try and compile the project or do anything with that. But then sometimes, almost like in, random uh conversations, it'll suddenly be like, oh, I'm going to try and compile. And then it can't find whatever it's looking for. And it's just like, this is jacked up. All right. So in the map editor interface, yeah, we'll need to create that new button. And then we've got keyboard shortcuts. And programmatically, I don't care. Okay, so we've got to add the input binding for toggle ceiling rendering and C for ceiling. Okay, so let's kick you, compile. And error. Shocking. Fix your shit, Claude. Yes, they do. Why are you trying to fucking compile? Stop trying to compile anything. Jesus. And now why are you suddenly telling me this is going to take 2 minutes and this is going to take 3 minutes and this is going to... It's so weird how, you just randomly, from conversation to conversation within the same project, so everything has the same, base starting point in history and everything. And you just get such different behavior. You can get such different behavior from conversation to conversation or chat to chat. Yeah. There's still, I still got a ways to go. It does some pretty some kind of fun stuff and cool stuff, but I think it's still got a ways to go. But I could just be an old man yelling at clouds about that. We'll see. Or at least I'm trying to, work with the clouds. All right. Let's see if we can compile now. Yep, we're good. Okay. All right, so we need to go to project settings, engine, input, and check. We have toggle ceilings. It is set to C, Alt C. Okay. So that's there. That's all good. What happened to my oh, okay. Oh, cancel. That's right. We've got to fix the UI. Boom. Okay. And we need a ceiling rendering toggle button and ceiling rendering status text. Okay, so let's add a button to expand that border to that vertical box. Let's pop a text on it. And you are going to be ceiling rendering toggle button. Let's come up with a more obnoxious name, shall we? Let's throw a padding top there. 7. A little separation. And then you are hide ceilings. You are the ceiling rendering status text. Okay, compile, recompile, save, hit it, run. Ceilings visible. Ceilings hidden. Visible hidden. Perfect. Exactly what we want. Wow, doesn't take long to hide the things. Okay. Interesting. Okay. We got it. Okay. One more thing I want to do, just a general thing I want to fix is around this selection here. So when you select, it highlights, but then it moves with the mouse cursor again. And I want the selected cell to stay selected and stay as mark selected, and the mouse movement only highlighting. It's also not using our materials that we defined, but that's fine. This is fine. Okay. So I just want to take care of that real quick while we're here. Okay. One other behavior I would like to working better. Currently, cells are highlighted on mouse over. That is working. I select a cell, changes the color to show that cell is selected. It's also working. If I then move the mouse, it takes the selection feedback away from the selected cell and let's see, feedback away from the selected cell and moves it to whatever cell is being highlighted. If we have a selected cell and there can be only one selected cell at a time, it should always have the selected cell always have the UI feedback showing that cell as selected, even if another cell is being highlighted by the cursor. Okay. We maintain visual feedback for the selected cell even when the mouse hovers over other cells. Currently, the hover highlighting is overriding the selection highlighting. Yes, visual state system that shows both hover and selection states simultaneously. Already has separate components for hover and selection highlighting, which is currently what we need. The problem is likely in how the cell selection component or player controller is managing the states. Let me examine the cell selection component, check the player controller, examine how these events are connected, find specific event handler functions. All right, correct. Now I can see the issue. The system is actually working correctly from an architecture standpoint. The cell highlighter has separate hover and selection highlighting components, and the events are properly connected. However, there might be an issue with the visual setup of the highlighting materials or Z ordering. Looking at the cell highlighter, I can see that both highlight meshes are attached to the same root component, which means they should be visible simultaneously. The issue might be Z fighting. No. Material transparency. No. Component ordering, one mesh might be hiding the other. No. Both highlights are visible simultaneously. Now let's improve the material setup to ensure blending and visibility. Now, I don't know I haven't gone through this code extensively, but honestly, I think that the problem is that we are not tracking a specific index of a cell as being the currently selected cell. So oh, sorry. I'm going to guess that this did not fix the issue that I wanted fixed. But let's see. Let's give it a compile. And we've got an error. Oh, Claude. You're kind of going down the wrong path, but I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook a minute. But then I'm going to bring the hammer down and set you straight. Okay, let's see. Do we compile now? Yes. Okay. Now we pop in. All right. Oop. I'm going to select that cell. Yep. And it moves. Yep. So exactly the same issue we were having before. Okay. Yep. You completely do not understand the... I don't even know the code, Claude. You wrote all the code. I don't even know the intricate workings, but of what you wrote. But I already think I've got a really probably good understanding of what the actual problem is. No. Getting the same issue when I'm hovering a cell, the highlight is blue. When I click, it turns to gold. If I move the mouse, the gold highlight moves with the cursor. I haven't verified in the code that I expect that we are not tracking the currently selected cell index to be able to render the gold selected highlight on that selected cell. So once we move the mouse cursor over a different cell, the selected cell is no longer known. You are absolutely right. I can see the issue now. Looking at the code, the problem is in the on-cell hover changed event handler in the map editor player controller. Moving the selection highlight to follow the hover instead of keeping the selection highlight in place and only moving the hover highlight. Event handlers look correct, actually. The issue must be in the on-cell hover changed event is being incorrectly fired when it should only fire for actual hover changes, not selection changes. Let me check how the cell selection and hover events are being triggered in the cell selection. Problem is likely in the cell selection component. Probably treating every mouse movement as both a hover change and a selection change. Let me look at how mouse clicks are handled. I found the issue. The problem is in the logic below, but let me trace through what's happening. User clicks on a cell. Select cell under cursor is called. It gets the hovered cell and selects it. When the user moves the mouse, the hover changes, but somewhere the system is confusing hover changes with selection changes. The issue is likely that when we move the mouse, the cell highlighter is receiving the wrong events. Let me check if there's some cross-wiring in the event system. Actually, I think I see the real issue. Let me verify by looking at the cell highlighter setup. The problem might be that both highlight meshes are using the same underlying mesh component or getting positioned incorrectly. Let's add some better debugging. Add logging to the highlighter. Bug logs will be able to see exactly what's happening, but I suspect the real issue will be in the cell highlighter constructor. Found a potential issue. The selection highlight mesh is attached to the hover highlight mesh as its root component. This means when we move the hover highlight, the selection highlight moves with it because it's attached to it. That would be a problem. Making them both independent components attached to a common root. Yes, perfect. That was the issue. The selection highlight was a child component of the hover highlight. So whenever the hover highlight moved, the selection highlight moved with it as its parent. Now both highlights are independent children of a neutral root component, so they can move independently. Let's also update the update highlighter position function to use world coordinates instead of relative position to make sure it works correctly. Okay. You say things are working. Let's go see. Do we compile? We compile. Good job. Good first step. Right. Pop it in there. All right. I want to highlight you, and I want to highlight. Yes, you got it. And if I highlight you, perfect. Look at that. Excellent. Okay, we've got basics. Where are we at on time? 30 minutes. Okay, perfect. We'll call this. There is one more thing I want to do editor-wise, but we can maybe do that at the start of the next episode. And then now that we've got this
basically functional, essentially at the point where we can build stuff, right? I want to now take this to game proper. So let's, I want to start moving to actually getting our grid-based movement, being able to take a level that we built in this, load it up, see it from first-person view, move around in the level, all that sort of thing. So yeah, I think that's where we'll move our next one. We'll start with the one thing I want to change is when I create a new map, I want it to default have floors in every cell and walls around the outside edge. So all new maps should just start with that automatically, so that we don't have to go through, 36 squared tiles, number of tiles, and individually adding floors to every single one of them. Maybe even floors and ceilings, and then we can toggle the ceilings off, so that we're just then coming in and putting walls and creating, how we move through the levels and whatnot. So that will be next time. So until then, like, subscribe, give us a comment. Thumbs up, all that. Let me know what else you want to see. And I will talk to you next time.